and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Boosdigger,
Excused.
Groves, here. Fitzpatrick,
Here.
Randall,
Here.
Walker,
Excused.
Zerfing,
Here.
Mayor Cramblin.
Here. Additions or amendments to the agenda?
We need to squeeze Paul Koch in it for a port report right after the consent agenda public hearings, if that's possible.
Okay, we can do that. So the adoption of the consent agenda. Approval of the October 22nd, 2018 minutes. Approval of the computer purchases for administration and EMS. Ratification of the bills in the amount of $580,478.95. Approve resolution number 1407, authorizing OBDD loan for the wastewater project. So do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as read.
I second.
So moved and second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Public hearing?
None.
No public hearing? Mr. Cook? For Cascade Locks.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and Bruce, wherever you're at, thank you for making time on your agenda for the port's report. You know, for a little over a year now, we've been doing this, and Gordon has been much better at showing up to the Port Commission meetings and giving a report. So we figured it's about time in my advanced age that I get here regularly and do this.
Thank you.
And I'd be really tough on this computer, but. So just 7 items I wanted to bring you up to date on regarding the port. On December 6th of this year, our new Deputy General Manager will start. And that will begin the process with the Port Commission to determine if that will be the next General Manager when I exit in June of 2019. Don Mann and I met last week with a doctor's office who is going to locate in the medical rooms at the school, and that will give the community a full-time doctor's office with all the accoutrements located here full-time. We met all the doctors in the practice, and they're excited about coming to Cascade Locks and will be good members of the community. A couple of them are even looking at living in town. The Port Commission had its work session up at Cooper Spur, which is within the Port District. We try to go there every other year or every second year to kind of spread the wealth around. This Port Commission did develop a set of 2019-20 budget priorities that will be the direction for staff to develop the next session, the next budget for the port. We are in the final stages of developing the MOU with Frame. We expect them to be in operation by the end of 2019 in the business park. We are working on a request from one of our existing tenants at the Herman Creek complex to build a 30 to 40,000 square foot building. They have outgrown everything that we can give them there. They expect to be in operation in that location in 2019 also. We're preparing, along with Thunder Island Brewery, to go to the Planning Commission in December, seeking a extension of the current conditional use permit for them to stay in that location. Based on the schedule that we saw, they should be out of the current location and on Wanapa Street by the end of 2019. And we are working with the legislature through Mark Johnson, the port's government relations manager to get $900,000 to do the initial planning for the bicycle pedestrian crossing at the Bridge of the Gods, with a request to the E-Board, which goes in December of this year. So those are the highlights. I'd be glad to answer any questions, even from you, Bruce, from wherever you're at.
Sundry Island Brewery down there, how does that work? They're on a temporary startup program of some sort?
Before we go any further with this conversation, since it is a application to the planning commission, and if they don't like the decision, it would be appealed to the city council. If it's appealed to the city council, we'll bring you all the information you need to make your decision, but
I won't be here.
well, so I just, right now, we shouldn't be talking about it.
Okay.
Not even just to give a little history.
I don't want them getting anything that they're gonna have to report as ex parte contact if and when it comes to appeal to the council. That's just,
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
Any other questions? Bruce?
No, I don't think so at this time, Mr. Mayor, but thank you, and thank you, Mr. Cook, for bringing us up to date.
You're very welcome. Where are you at?
Auburn this week,
Oh, okay.
and maybe next week. Auburn, Washington.
He's at home, he's just not coming.
I thought I saw his car in the driveway.
Outside.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, council. I appreciate it.
Okay, action items. Now, what we historically have done, we haven't had a lot of folks showing up to our meetings here, so I've got to wait for it. But each action item we do, we allow, if the public wants to make a comment prior to the city council talking and acting on the action item, they're welcome to do that. So start out with the first item of the appointment to committees.
You have a summary page. These are the vacancies that are empty as of either right now or after the first of the year. We have 4 vacancies on tourism. 2 people have applied to be reappointed, Cindy Lee Baseman and Debbie Fine. The Architectural Review Committee has 3 vacancies. We've only had 1 seek reappointment. That's Nancy Renault. And the Planning Commission has 2 vacancies and have received 2 applications, one from Larry Cramlett and one from Gary Munkoff. So that's the summary of the vacancies and applications as of this point.
So is there any comment from the public on this thing? So my recommendation on it would be to put Nancy Arnold in on the architectural review, Debbie Fine and Cindy Baseman on tourism, and Larry Cramlett, Gary Munkoff on planning. So if I can get a consensus from the council here, that's the recommendation I would make on it. So we okay with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
You're okay with that? Okay, so it's,
Thank you. We'll get that done.
all right, thank you. Okay, B, approve resolution number 1406, authorizing Hood River Garbage to set new rates for 2019. So prior to that,
We have Mr. Winterbottom here to make the presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm here tonight, as we traditionally do, to kind of go over where we're at on year-over-year costs and what it takes to provide the service to Cascade locks. This year, we know that the Wasco County landfill has already been approved for a 3.3% rate increase for the tip fee. The way they calculate that and the way it's approved in Wasco County is they are guaranteed 85% of CPI for the West Coast Index. And this year, June to June, it was 3.9%. So they came in at 3.3%. And that's what I'm asking from you as well, to continue the service in Cascade Box. You know, some of the costs that we incur are a little bit different than what the landfill does. For instance, our fuel year over year is up 8%. Cost of a container, which you've heard about from the tariffs on steel. A 1.5 yard dumpster a year ago cost us $468. It's now up 12% to $529. 20-yard drop box that we use at the city cleanups and other events in town, they went up 17% this year from $4,030 to $4,686. And at the same time, we try to keep our people in step with wage increases, benefits as well, as we move throughout the year. A couple of examples on how a 3.3% increase affects our folks here in town, which we do respect, and we understand that any type of increase has an impact. That's why we try to come annually and keep it as minimal as we can and figure out how we can be more efficient to keep the collection costs down. A 32-gallon can picked up weekly in town is going to increase 58 cents a month, or 14 cents per pickup. On the commercial side, with a 1.5 yard dumpster at the stores and businesses in town, if they're getting serviced once a week, it's going to have an impact of $3.57 a month, or 82 cents a pickup. Like I say, we try to run as lean as we can, but when the landfill gets a guaranteed increase, and that's over 20% of our expense, you know, rounded out by fuel and labor, topping out 50% of our expense line. So that's what I'm here asking for, a 3.3% increase.
So is there anybody from the public that wanted to comment on this? Okay, council, you're open to discussion. Or whether you want to make a motion or you want to ask questions of it? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Or it's Gordon or the gentleman. We get 6 dumpsters for cleanup, is that right?
You get 120 yards twice a year. So whether it's 6 20-yard boxes for the 120, historically we've done 4 30-yard boxes, which is that same 120 yards. Yeah, we do it twice a year.
Well, with more people in town, shouldn't we be increasing that? I mean,
They did bring one extra one down last spring. We did 7 20-yard with 140 yards. They've been very accommodating.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've never hesitated. If I get a call from Sheldon that says, "Hey Jim, someone opened the gate early and we're full and the event's not till tomorrow," so we do what we can to make sure we get, because we know you guys are proud of your town with mandatory service and you want it out of here. So another box, it only benefits us too to get it out of here.
I
I'd
think
like
they're
to
just
see another.
compensating their costs, and there's no reason why we shouldn't compensate them for their costs.
So your suggestion then is at section 3 of resolution 1406, make it 7 20-yard dumpsters, or?
Well, I think we need to increase our dumpsters, whether we pay for it or it's a gimme or what. I mean, we have more people in town. You cut a day off from being able to deliver, so now you have more of a line. So now you have people that could go on Friday, can't go on Saturday, so that.
Well, the problem was the Friday would fill it up, and those who could only go on Saturday didn't have an opportunity to dump.
Well, I understand that, but you also limited people who could go. Now they can't go, and so I just think that if it's full halfway through there, we need to have more dumpsters.
Well, unfortunately, we can't just call and say, can you bring some over here in an hour? We have to plan for it.
I know that. That's why I'm asking you right now.
Okay, so what would you like to see the resolution marked up to?
Well, I would
and,
like,
and see if they're negotiable.
I would like to see 8 dumpsters.
Okay, so if you're thinking 8 20-yarders, that'd be 160. If, you know, if it pleased the city, we could do an addendum for 150 yards, or if you want it to be exactly 160, we've, you know, 5 30-yard boxes would be 150. 40-yarders get a little bit cumbersome. They're a little bit too big for folks to throw stuff in once they get 3/4 full. But we're open to it. You know, if that's going to help the community, an extra couple boxes during the year, you know, one at each cleanup or however you want to do it, we're fine with it.
Okay, so let's change this to 5 30-yard dumpsters. That gives us 150.
Sure.
And if we need another one, we
So
can
with
call
that,
it
then
in.
she's gonna ask you to open it up on Friday and Saturday, correct?
Well, he's not gonna do that.
I'm probably not.
Well, that's why you're at, isn't that?
Well,
why you're-
the other problem we had was businesses would dump, and we've cut them off because this is for the residents. This isn't for businesses. So that should have, and we only did that this fall. So that should alleviate some of the problem. But if we have it open on Friday and Saturday, it's going to get, even if it's 150 yards, it's going to fill up, and people who work during the week aren't going to be able to dump. So to make it fair for everybody, we open it up on Saturday.
Okay,
So that's
so if you have,
Can you open
if
it
you have
up?
more,
No, we're asking for how many now? We're up to 7 then, or 6?
We're going to have 5 30-yard dumpsters instead of 6 20-yard dumpsters. So it's going from 120 to
So
150 yards.
could you say we're only gonna fill 2 on Friday and 3 of them are, once those 2 are full, they're done and you gotta
So
come Saturday?
then we close it down, and people are standing in line and.
no, I'm
seeing
okay with
empty
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah,
As long as there's more,
force to fill.
that's right.
Okay.
And
Then you
I believe last spring, it was late Saturday when Sheldon called me, and we didn't have the resources to get anybody down here, so I said, just put it on the ground. We'll meet you down there Monday with, you guys provide the backhoe, and we'll provide the boxes, and we just picked it off the ground and went from there.
Well, we try not to do that too.
I know, but we didn't want to shut people off,
I
because
just don't want
you know
people-
where it ends up, not where you want it.
That's my
And
point.
we get that, so I said, put it on the ground, and we'll pick it up.
How soon did it fill up this year? Cause I was out there, it was lined up to the railroad tracks.
I'd have to ask my expert. Hold on for a second.
It wasn't long afternoon when I got the call, I don't think. It was pretty quick.
Okay, it was time for the
ready.
gate to open, there was a line all the way out to the,
We stayed open until 4 o'clock on Saturday.
and they weren't full until 4 o'clock.
There's still a little room in them, but
There's still room. Okay,
we put mattresses on the ground, and so because they take up a lot of room. We put them on last.
okay. Okay,
So if we could just change that one part, I'm fine. That's
Perfect.
cool.
Good for me.
Thank you.
so you wanna make a motion
Let's see here.
and throw that in the motion?
I move to approve resolution number 1406, authorizing Waste Connections, Hood River Garbage to collect soil waste and recycling within the city of Cascade, law setting charges and rates to provide for the 2018, and repealing resolution number 1386.
It should be 2019, and
Right.
as marked up.
Right, as marked.
Second, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Approve resolution number 1506 with addition of the extra dumpsters on cleanup days. Discussion? Do you want to say anything there, Bruce?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's got to pay their bills, and if we want to keep the service, I guess we've got to pay ours. And I think that was a great idea to add another dumpster. That was a heck of a line. Then I'm in favor of approving this.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. And want to do an addendum, we'll add to the agreement, however you want to do it for the 5th one.
Let me get the resolution.
Sure.
It'll be next week before I get it
Okay.
rewritten. And then, if you wanted to bring a resolution, the fact says 150 yards.
Yep.
Or not a resolution, but a contract.
Sure. All righty.
Thank you
Thanks
very
very much.
much.
Thank you. Okay. Approved desk lifts for staff.
We have had an ergonomic expert from our city county insurance service come and do a review of our workstations. And there was several suggestions that were made in order to prevent health risks for our staff. The big one was lifts on the desk so that you can vary the height. When you're working, you can sit for a while, you can stand for a while. We sought out 3 quotes. As you can see, one quote was like $15,000. They didn't really want our business. The other 2 quotes were very competitive. We chose the slightly higher one because Mr. Daines, who is with us tonight to answer any questions you may have, came out and actually did a real thorough investigation and looked at, this is what we have, this is what we can do for you. Well, the other quote, which was lower by $57, they just sent in a quote. They didn't come visit, they didn't come see what we had, they didn't. So we're recommending to take the quote, the lowest responsible quote, and the responsible being, they came out and they took a look and see what our problems were and saw how they could help us. We've already worked with Jerry on the lift station or the lift desk that Mary Ann has. One of the things that they're willing to do with this quote is to put that on casters. So if we need to move the desks, we can move the desks in order to benefit our employees. So we're asking for approval for the lift stations, for the lift desks from, Jerry, what's the name of your company?
Harris Work Systems.
Harris Work Systems. If you have any questions, we can take a look at that.
Well, I came in and looked at it today and talked to Jen and seen what her reactions were towards it. And she says that by the end of the day, because the desk isn't quite right for her height,
right,
that by the end of the day, she's got pain in her neck and her shoulders. And I think whenever you got somebody working with pain, it works against their productivity.
Exactly.
And so I believe that it's would be $5,000 or $4,000 well spent just to keep our staff healthy. And it's works real good. I think if you're interested, we all should go and take a look because I found it very interesting.
So you want to make a motion?
No, I'll make a motion that we accept the offer that we give our ladies desks that lifts.
So approve the bid for Harris Workstations.
Right.
3 bids.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the bid from Harris Workstations for 3 desk lift bases. Discussion. Let me start with this guy. We've got the motion on here, but I didn't open it up to the public on it, and I've said we're going to stuff. So is there any public comment on this? Okay, the discussion. Richard?
Mayor, I just wanted to find out, what was the total cost?
It's the $4,008.
Okay,
And
that's,
40 cents.
okay, that's, well, okay, wanted to clarify
Look at
that.
that yourself.
Well, it appears that, because Mary Ann does have one, and it appears that Mary Ann, there's some other issues from reading the report in here that Mary Ann has, but it has nothing to do with it sounds like the workstation is working well.
This is the first step. We also have to look at chairs, order chairs too, but that should be under my limit since this was over my limit. check on it before we brought it to you for approval.
But the lift station for Mary Ann is working well for her, is that correct?
Yes, when she uses it,
Yeah, okay.
sometimes people are stubborn, sometimes.
Can't imagine Mary Ann being stupid.
I just heard the guffaw.
Gordon, did you say that you had looked at some different chairs?
Yes, we're looking at chairs for, not only for our staff, but also for council chambers and different configuration here for tables too.
So Bruce, did you want to say anything?
And I'm sure they are, but I just want to make sure they're adjustable. So if there is a change in the employees, that these can be adjusted to new ones if we were to do that.
Yes,
I mean, I know the chairs are going to be different, but okay, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, you can't have people working when they're not comfortable or in pain and still expect to get the most out of them. So I think it'd be money well spent.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just would like to thank, I'm not sure, Jerry, for this breakdown of everything that you looked at and what you recommended and how it, it's, I believe it's nice to stay local, and this is one of the reasons why, because we have somebody who can come in and actually look at the situation, assess what needs to be done, and then give us a report, which was very nice. So thank you.
That was a good report. Yeah.
So that's all I have on it.
So all in favor say aye.
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 Oh.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
We approve IGA with the Mid-Columbia Economic Development District for a corrosion control project.
As you know, the state has given us a grant loan combination with our match of about $880,000 for our corrosion control project. Part of the state requirements is that we have a fiscal administration agent, which also our financial policy requires for grants and loans over $10,000 or $100,000. McKed is very capable. They did our fire hall. We work with them quite well, and I'm looking for approval to sign the IGA with McKed for them to do the administration of the corrosion control project.
So again, any public input on this one? All good here? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to approve the IGA with McKed for the city's corrosion control project loan, the safe drinking water revolving loan fund program not to exceed $30,000.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the IGA with McCadden, the city's corrosion control project not to exceed $30,000. Discussion. Bruce, want to say something?
Just want to thank the staff for getting this all set up as quick as they did, so we can take care of it. So I appreciate that how it was handled, and I approve of it. Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Approve the BPA TC 20 settlement agreement.
This is a little difficult to understand. So let me try and explain to you. We have what's called a tariff that we pay Bonneville Power. Bonneville Power has several different products. that they sell. It's all electricity, but it's how it's packaged when you buy it. The further out you can buy it, the better the price you get. We are what's called a preferred customer because we're a municipal electric utility. We serve the public. We are a preferred customer for the BPA. Included in the tariff that they set all of the prices that they sell to all of their different customers is what's called an hourly firm rate. If, for example, we had a contract with Bonneville Power and we needed to buy more power beyond what the contract is, like we have 5 megawatts and we need to go to 6 megawatts, but we need to do it by tomorrow, we can do you can buy it 24 hours in advance, the hourly firm rate. But when you buy it at the last minute, it's like airline tickets. If you wait till the last minute to buy your airline ticket, you're going to pay a whole bunch more than what your contract rate is. We don't have that problem because we're a preferred customer and we get our contract price. But because the hourly firm rate is in the total tariff package that the BPA has to have approved, they have to come to us when they want to eliminate one of the products, and that's what this does. There are 178 public utilities that BPA serves, and all 178 have indicated in general agreement. There are 2, one in California, one in Washington, that don't want to do this, so they're going to have to negotiate their own issue, but the rest of us, either net tariff providers, which we are, or a pay-to-play provider, which the public, like any power that PGE gets that they buy from Bonneville, are pay-to-play customers. We have to agree that this is what we're going to do. And if all 178 agree on the tariff, then the BPA rate process can go forward. So my recommendation to you, after studying with the Public Power Council and talking to the other 10 municipal electric utilities and some of the PUDs and those others that are in the area, is to go ahead and approve the TC year 2020 agreement with the BPA. It doesn't impact us one dime. We'll be still paying the same rate because we have a contract rate, but it does allow the rest of the rate case to go forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the TC 20 settlement with the BPA.
A second.
Did I open that up to the public?
Not yet.
Okay, so anybody in the public want?
No, but I appreciate.
We're good?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Bruce, did you want to say anything?
Well, from my understanding of the way it's been explained, it's just like a formality that we do this. I mean, to not do it, it's going to open up a very convoluted process. So I'm all for taking the easy way out on this one.
Well, the nice thing about the rates right now is our contract price, for which we pay up to 2.56 megawatts, is about $30 per megawatt. If we go over that 2.56, which is our benchmark, we get into tier 2 rates. And tier 2 rates now are $26. So we're actually saving $4 a megawatt for every megawatt we go over our rate. So to participate in an hourly firm, it just doesn't make any sense. We wouldn't do it anyway, but so that's where our rates are right now. And the reason they're that way is Bonneville Power has 500 megawatts a day excess power capacity. That they're producing the power and they have no place to ship it to except California, and they don't want to ship it to California because they can't charge the price they don't want to in California that they do here. So we're in a good spot. That may change tomorrow.
That's right.
but we're.
Because I remember when they first went to tier 2, talking about going to tier 2, at that time they were saying those rates could be 25% or higher
Right.
above the BPA rates.
They've been as
The
high
only thing
as
that's
40
keeping them
bucks.
down, it sounds like, is natural gas. And
That's right.
if they start exporting a lot of the natural gas, then the price of natural gas is gonna go up to us. I get it.
That's exactly.
That just hasn't happened yet, but as soon as that, so it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that the tier 2 exceeds. And we've only got what, you'd say 2.5 megs at the tier 1 price.
Right.
Yeah, and we're already above that.
We're already above that.
So anything we do now is tier 2, and we've been doing, a lot of ours is tier, probably more than
we've ever done, yes.
yeah. There's probably more in tier 2 than there is in tier 1. Pretty close to that.
If everybody starts pumping the power out like they say,
Yeah.
well, you've heard tonight, Freem is gonna come, they're gonna take 1 or 2 megawatts.
Right.
Hoyker Brothers is going to the planning commission, they're gonna take 1 more megawatt. Bear Mountain has got their electric dryer going, so they're gonna take some time, some power. Bear Mountain was talking to me today, not Bear Mountain, Thunder Island was talking to me today about whether they're gonna use propane to do their brewing or electricity, depending upon what they do. That's gonna add more power. Ravenwood, if they get going, that's gonna add more power. We've 20% growth rate, that's gonna add power. So we have the potential to go from a little 2 megawatt system up to 12.5 megawatt by the end of next year. And if we get the capacity that we think is coming with the Bonneville Power Administration buying that substation and refurbishing it, we already have a customer in line that's asked for 10 more megawatts of power. That's about $10 million. So, and that'll all be tier 2 rates. So there we are.
So any more discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's it for the action items. Appearance of interested citizens. Anybody want to get up and?
Kathy Tittle, longtime resident. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you, Mayor, and Richard, on your win for the election and the port. You guys know that one of my stances was that I felt that the port and the city had become one, and I wanted to see more definition between the two. So congratulations. I never expected to win. I could not see the mayor go unchallenged when there was so many people telling me they wanted change. I would also like to address the rumors that I have accused Kathy Woosley of cheating and changing ballots or something. That is not true. I like and respect Kathy, and I believe she's doing a great job. I question the security of our ballot box sitting on the floor of the city office after hours in light of the reports of fraud and ballot stuffing around the country. So I believe voting is a sacred right, and I don't think with all the cheating, in the last election and all that stuff, or the rumors of it. So my question was the security of our ballot box. And finally, I am challenging the omission of the meeting minutes, where I questioned the counselors in attendance of how many people had their water randomly sampled. And in the typed up meeting minutes, it only says that Council Member Bobby Walker raised his hand and said his mom's water was tested, but it omitted the fact that there were 3 other people that raised their hands. So I'm just wondering if that can be corrected on the meeting minutes. And That's all
Who are
I
the
have to
other
say.
three?
Pardon?
I was one.
Well,
Carl,
in the past, I've had mine
Richard,
before,
and
but I don't
Tom.
know if I don't know if I'm on the program regularly. But I think it was just a one-time.
I was
know,
just
but one-
asking if any of you had had your water tested, and 4 people had
Right.
raised their hands. And I was saying that I've been in town for 28 years and I've never had my water tested, so I was just wondering how random the sampling was, but.
Okay, can I address that? I don't know about changing the minutes at this point since you'd already approved them, but.
Well, I wasn't given a
Just
chance to
minute,
talk.
Just a minute.
I wasn't given a
Just
chance to
excuse
talk
me. I
before.
want to ask your question, answer
All
your
right.
question. There are only 23 homes that are required for us to test every 6 months. I don't know if yours is or yours is. I don't. They're not
tested every year.
You're tested every year, so you're one of the, but those are the only homes that are tested. Whether they happen to be city councilors or not, I can't tell you because we don't look at it that way. So to think that we go around and test everybody's home is not true. We're not required to do that.
I didn't say everybody's. I said, how random is it that
It's-
4 out of the 7 counselors raised hands? But my question is, why is it not reflecting on minutes? I wasn't given a chance to speak up. I didn't know where I was supposed to be speaking up for this.
Okay, well, council, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but we would have to go back and verify, because I don't, she didn't notice the 4.
I've been tested long before I ever got on council.
Well, that's
It
my
it
point
has
that I was
nothing to
trying
do
make.
with testing our water because we're on council. We just happen to be in the place where everybody has copper lines going to their house. And I got tested, my daughter-in-law next to me got tested, Bobby Walker got tested because we're all on that
And
street.
Bobby's mom, I know. That's what
And
he said.
Bobby's mom's on that street too. They're basically taking, our street, which is Harvest Queen Street, and they're testing the people on Harvest Queen Street. 1975, they put in those 6 houses in one big bunch. It's all towards the end of the line down there. It makes it easy to test. It just so happens that I got on city council, Bobby Walker got on city council, and his mother's on that street too.
And that's fine, but I would like the minutes to reflect that there were 4 council members' hands raised when I asked that question, because it only says that Bobby Walker raised his hand and said his mother's was tested.
But what I'm saying is
I understand what you're
is
saying.
that
It was the
I don't
board.
see where the big problem is.
I would like it reflected that I asked.
Can we just post it in this meeting's minutes? Will that be acceptable, Kathy?
Yeah.
That way we don't have to correct what was done earlier, and we can make an addendum in this meeting's minutes that reflects what happened.
Yes.
Can we do that legally?
Yeah,
Yep.
because she's brought it to us. You bet.
Okay. Thank you.
If that's acceptable?
Yes.
We're good.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, other citizens want to make comments? All right, so we'll go to reports and presentations. City committees,
Just what's in your packet.
okay. Presentation from Jane Palmer.
Looks like Jane didn't make it tonight.
Okay.
So we'll reschedule.
The air wasn't clean enough to come out? Or?
Don't go there.
Yeah, be careful. Okay.
Breathe deep.
Anyway, city administrator's interim report.
Thank you. The first page of the report tonight is the unofficial election results. They have not yet been certified by the county. And again, we've already heard from Ms. Tittle and her gracious speech congratulating the mayor and Richard. You can see those votes totaled. The plurality vote, which allows for 2-year positions to be filled by the 4th vote getter, passed overwhelmingly. 64% to 31%. And then the EMS support fee will continue for another 5 years. And again, that was overwhelming, 75% to 21%. I also included a voter participation history for you. We had the highest number of votes cast this November than in the past 10 years at 568 votes. But I want you to look at the eligible number. It went from 726 to 904. That is a direct result of voter registration when you renew your driver's license. So we've had a lot of people over the last 2 years renew their driver's licenses, and they have been added to the voter registration rolls. Number 3, our population estimate for July 1st, 2018 has come in from the Portland State University Center for Population Research. Cascade Locks has grown from 1,310 to 1,375 people, an increase of 65 or 5%. Hood River County grew from 25,145 to 25,310. That's an increase of 165. So 65 of those 165 in Hood River County, 39% came from Cascade Locks. So we're coming up in the world. Benson and Watt Streets, you probably drove here over them. That project has been completed. The paperwork has been submitted to ODOT. We have not yet received our acceptance of the paperwork. It should be this week. Because we finished it before November 30th, they will consider our request for repaving Forest Lane for next year. Because we can only have 2 open projects at a time, and we just closed those 2. Question for you on Christmas Eve. Carl has already indicated he's not coming.
Oh, I could.
On Christmas Eve. Councils usually cancel those meetings, so I'm sure you don't want to come on December the 24th. In the past, the council has allowed staff to work half days on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Since both of those days are on Monday, would the council consider closing Center Hall for both of those days? All day, so that we leave Friday and come back on Wednesday after the holiday for those 2 weeks.
I don't have any issue with it.
Fine with that. Okay.
Yeah,
You okay with that, Linda?
I'd be sick if I worked for the city on that day.
Well, that's what I don't want to do. Is I don't
You
want to
okay
have
with
to close
that,
City
Lynn?
Why
Hall.
you don't work for the city? I'm fine with it.
Bruce, you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. Historic Highway reopened this past weekend. We drove down it. There is very limited parking and restricted areas. It's interesting to see where the fire came down and jumped both sides. And it's an interesting drive. But if you're going to go to Multnomah Falls, please use the parking lot and walk across. For your information, the crosswalk from the Multnomah Falls parking area to Multnomah Falls across the Historic Highway is the busiest pedestrian crosswalk in the state.
I believe.
So, in case you're interested, they had 2 county sheriffs there on Saturday, just trying to keep traffic moving. People were parking everywhere. It was pretty amazing.
Good luck down there.
Yeah. I want to give you an update on the Wanapa repaving project. I met with the project manager, Richard Garrison, last week. They will be doing all 56 ADA ramps in May, June, and July next year. Those ramps have to be completed before they can repave Wanapa. They will then repave Wanapa probably in late September or early October of next year. So we're going to be a construction zone all next year during the summer for Wanapa. They've agreed to put crosswalks in at Toll House Road, at Regulator, Oneonta, and School Streets. They want to take out the crosswalk here by City Hall. I've asked them to reconsider that. When they did their traffic study, only 5 people used that in a 24-hour period. Doesn't come to their what they call warrant level. but they will at least put in the handicap ramps, and if it turns out that traffic increases there, people are crossing anyway, we can always go back and add the striping. But I've also talked them to consider putting a crosswalk halfway between Toll House and Regulator. That would be about where the front door is for Thunder Island when their building gets in place. And that puts a crosswalk about every 300 feet through town that are legal and marked. Right now, the only legal crossings we have are at Oneonta and School Street that are correctly marked and maintained. And the other issue they had was when they finish Wanapa to Forest Lane, they wanted to put a crosswalk across Forest Lane so that there's a sidewalk on both sides of Forest Lane as it comes up the curve. That would mean a pretty long distance to cover a crosswalk, so they would put an island in the middle, which would be an obstruction for any kind of traffic up there. So I've asked them to consider taking the east side of Forest Lane sidewalk and bringing it up to Wanapa and putting the crosswalk on the other side of the intersection of Wanapa up across to Edgewood, so that they do the shorter crossing of Wanapa rather than the longer crossing of the east side of Forest Lane to the west side of Forest Lane. Most people I've observed who walk up Forest Lane are crossing clear back at Clark anyway, and then coming up and going down by the cemetery and going on. So they're going to consider all of those things, but the only holdup we have right now is every contract entered into by the state has to be reviewed by the state attorney general, and this is in the queue. So they have selected a consultant, WH Pacific, that would do the engineering and the construction management. The contract has not yet been approved by the state attorney general. Public Works employee. We received 5 applications for the vacant Public Works Utility 1 position. The top candidate is Mr. Eric Johnson from Carson, Washington. He is an experienced equipment operator and has worked for many years for the Washington State Parks Department, maintaining various park infrastructure similar to an infrastructure of the city. He's worked all up and down the gorge of the Washington State Parks. He's put in sewer line, dug trenches, done water lines, done everything that we're going to ask him to do as a utility worker 1. He does live in Carson, which is inside our required response time. Is an excellent candidate. Sheldon said of all the people he's interviewed for this position throughout his career here, that this guy rates close to the top because he knows how to handle water breaks. He knows what he needs to do in emergency. Very personable young man, and wants to come work for us. So with your approval, we can extend to him an offer of employment.
So are we good with that?
I am.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How long does Sheldon have before he retires?
Sheldon is 42, 43.
Oh, he's got a ways yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30, 40 years. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Well, I know he's been with the city a long time. I didn't know how old he was.
He's been with the city about 12 years, I think, 11 or 12.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
So, thank you. Again, this week I will be attending a 2-day electric utility systems operations class sponsored by the West Public Power Association in Ashton, Idaho. That's a 12-hour drive from here. I'll be leaving tomorrow, and class is Wednesday and Thursday. And then I'm taking a couple days of vacation, running down to see my grandson play basketball in Utah. I'm only charging the city for the mileage I'm subtracting my vacation mileage from so you're not paying very much for me to attend this class. That's only fair.
Now, if you work for the Corps of Engineers, you'd have to return back home and then go on your vacation.
Where is Ashton by?
It is right on the Idaho-Montana border at the Tetons, the other side of, about an hour the other side of Rexburg, Idaho Falls. the east side of the state. Again, we're broadcasting live on Channel 23 on YouTube, and like us on Facebook.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor, City Council comments. Bruce, we'll start with you. Comments.
Well, I would like to follow Kathy Tittle's proclamation and congratulate you on your reelection, Mr. Mayor, and Richard on yours, and Carl and Deanna. Sad to see you guys move on, but welcome to the new councilors. And I would like to thank Kathy for coming in and saying what she said. And I just look forward to another 2 years. And Gordon, have a great trip.
Thank you.
And we'll see you when you get back.
Thank you.
And that is all I have. Thank you.
Carl.
Well, I'm down to my last meeting. Will be on the 10th, I guess. And I haven't accomplished anything that I wanted to during the last 2 years. I really wanted to see EMS straightened up here, fire department EMS. It didn't happen. And I'll take some of the responsibility for that. I didn't put the work into it. I should have. But somebody's got to do something about it. And if nobody in this city wants to volunteer, and I do believe that we're going to have to get volunteers in order to maintain a department at all. We've got 3 paid staff making a very small amount of the calls. We've got a fire chief that is working Skamania County and actually responds over here when she's on duty with Skamania County and transports in her ambulance. I don't think that's right, but I can understand it. She's working 2 jobs. We're paying for 40 hours a piece for 3 people. We're paying 120 hours. And anytime I've gone down to the station, they've been sitting around doing much of nothing. I think the only one down there that has gone out and tried to get people to volunteer is their volunteer. The 3 of them haven't moved a muscle, other than to put that little sign out, your little sign out in front of the hall. I was the person that said, hey, you know, our fire chief is responding from home in the middle of the night, taking calls. Well, that's not happening much anymore. And that we needed to make her fire chief because she was representing us as a fire chief. But I don't know. We got to get somebody that is willing to get volunteers in this town. She seems to be on the opposite way. She doesn't want the volunteers. She wants paid staff. We cannot afford a paid staff. In order to have a paid staff 24/7 in Cascade Locks, we'd have to have 9 employees, minimum. 9 people responding on that ambulance to have 24/7 paid staff. We cannot afford it. So I think we can go out and say, so much for our paid staff. It isn't going to work for us. We need to do something else. Either this community has to get off their rumps and go and volunteer, or we need just to shut the whole works down and say, okay, EMS is going to respond. The state of Oregon requires every inch of Oregon to be covered by a response, ASA, ambulance services, area. And right now, we've got the service area, legal service area is from our border with Multnomah County to Vienna Park and back in the woods to I don't know how far back it goes there, back there now, but that's our area that we cover. If we send a letter to the state saying we're shutting down our area, what our response will be from, it will not be Skamania County, it will be from Hood River. Everybody with a pipe dream of putting Skamania County over here, it isn't going to happen. The state of Oregon is very much against anybody responding from outside the city. I know everybody keeps talking about getting it passed, getting the laws changed. We've been talking about that for 20 years, 30 years. It isn't happening. So, the people of this city, and I don't care if you're 18 years old or 65 years old, you can still do it. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you can still do it. Yeah, it takes your time. It takes a lot of time. And you don't have to get so involved as what some of us have in the past. If you get a little bit of participation out of a bunch of people, it does as good as one person doing a lot. Folks, I know we only got 24% of the population that even has us on their TV screen, and probably only 5% of them are listening. But at least pass the word around. Hey, get off your rumps and volunteer if you want a department responding from here, because it's not going to happen if they don't. Other than that, thank you, staff. Thank you, council. It's been really fun working with you. And I'll see you one more time.
Got her? You're good?
I'm good.
Good. Richard?
Yes. Yeah, I want to thank you for bringing all that up, because I think most of that information we already know. We already know we're between a rock and a hard place. And that's why we're really, up to trying different techniques and different things to make something happen, and it just seems like it just seems kind of hopeless at times, because that's why a lot of people in this community think that the only way out of this morass is to, with economic development, get the money to have more of a paid staff, which can maybe generate more volunteers. If you have a more professional department, and maybe we can hire somebody that has that expertise, or has, the ability to reach people and be a really good people person. But other than that, we're going to struggle with this for a long time to come. I agree with you, and that's why, as long as I'm on the council, I'm going to be open to new ideas and new ways, innovative and otherwise, to resolve this problem. The only way I personally see our way out of this is, unfortunately, with paid staff, because that's the way, that's the nature of the beast, the way things are going, unfortunately. I mean, we need to milk it. We need to get what we can out of it. I absolutely agree. But we just have to persevere and not get discouraged, and keep looking forward to the future, to a day where we can at least minimally staff this community, because right now, like you say, it's just, it ain't going to happen. So, but we understand the situation. I understand the situation we're in, and so I just personally think it might not solve all our problems. Money never solves all our problems. But if we had more money that we could throw at the fire department to staff it, then maybe it can, like I was saying earlier, maybe it can grow into something. Like a petri dish, or like you throw something at it as like a catalyst. And I think if you had some highly professional people down there, I'm not saying that they're not professional now, that's not what I mean, because there's a lot of different caliber of people out there in these positions. Some people are more valuable than others, but I want to thank the staff, and I want to reassure the community that this council is well aware of the situation that we are in, and we are probably more motivated to try to take care of the community. Because for me, that's what governing is. Governing is services to take care of our community and protection. And all this other social justice warrior crap, as far as I'm concerned, just buys into people's liberty and freedom. So I'm open to a lot of good suggestions when it comes to the fire department. I want to thank you for everything you've done. You've gotten a lot of valuable information for us. Thank you, Carl.
I just didn't do enough.
That's the way we all feel. I just feel like, Yep. No.
You good?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good. It's your time. It's your time. Glenda.
I want to always thank the staff. You do a great job. And then I want to congratulate Richard, Tom, and the new council members that will be coming up. And then I would like to say one thing that Kathy brought up, that the city and the port, they work too closely together. Well, if they didn't work closely together, we would have nothing in this. The city has to have the electricity, the water, to make the port bring in economic development. So if we don't work together, as in the past, when they didn't work together, you had nothing then, and you have more now. So I am very proud to be working with the port, because we're making something happen. And that's what I came on the council to do, to help make this town something. So that's all I have to say. Thanks. I want to thank you guys. You guys have done a good job. We all have done our job. There you go.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. All right, well, first off, I'll like to apologize to Jay Palmer for my comments there. People who know me would look at me as being trying to make funny of something. Obviously a serious thing to be out there. So I apologize to the people who don't know me, including Jane on that. On my comments there. I talked to Leif Fox. I think I brought it up with the council before on properties that we have. We got 26 acres of land. It's zoned for one house per lot, so it's a residential zoning. But I'm looking at the potential of a primitive type camping park for Cascade locks on that land that's not being used right now. Part of Dry Creek goes through the land. The land is above the way station, goes all the way to the power line, includes a part of the Dry Creek Road up there. So I took Leif up there, and he looked around it, and he was really impressed. He's excited about it. The potential of a scout troop, because what scout troops are able to do, especially something like this where it's kind of a blank sheet for them, be able to come in, take a look at something, and all I was looking at him to do is come up with some plans where they could develop, primitive campsites, and then the citizens could go up and when you're stuck with the areas out here where you can't go out and camp, you know, you get out on the freeways now here, we're kind of plugged in here sometimes. We've got this great piece of property up here that has, it's gonna be tough to develop for housing. And even though, even though it is set up for housing, it can, I believe it can be, I don't know what the codes say, we have to look into that. So what I'm doing right now is not using staff time, I'm using my own time, I'm going out and talking. Leif's gonna talk to the troops, they're gonna take a look at it, so we're not moving ahead with anything. It's just discussions, but I see a potential of 26 acres up here that can be used for the citizens of our community. Whether we move ahead on it, I don't know, but if we do, then it's gonna need to go to planning. You're gonna have to get some kind of conditional use through planning in order to even head down that direction. But it sounded like the council's okay for me to continue to look into this, so I hope we're still okay.
I wouldn't be.
You wouldn't be?
No.
And
I got two good reasons.
okay,
One, we're gonna be border to border here in 10 years. Every space of property, even the hard to develop ones, because developers will be able to develop it anyway, will get developed. And I'd hate to cut down on the housing in this town for a park. Second of all, if nobody's noticed, we've got some people starting to find Cascade lots. They're getting tired of Portland. They're called homeless. They're moving in here. And if we set up a primitive park out there, in 10 years, it'll be filled with homeless. I'd much rather have houses out there than a bunch of homeless tents.
and I get that. That is that is a concern that I would have on it. But it's not costing us anything. I'm just gonna kind of.
Once they move in, they won't move out.
I'm not asking anybody I'm not using any city money or anything. I'm just gonna try to inform myself on the potential here and hopefully present something to the council down here that could be workable. But part of doing that is hearing comments like that, because that helps make the decision whether you want to move ahead on something or not move ahead, or what you can do to mitigate that. So I appreciate the comments. And for my own end, though, I'm gonna, until that 26 acres has potential to be developed or there's housing in there, I'm gonna look at how that property can best benefit the citizens of this town from my own point of view.
The citizens won't be up there.
Well, I appreciate that. Carl. But who knows what it can become. That's my thing. I have no idea what it is, but again, I'm not using any staff time on it, so we're not putting any money into this thing. It's having talks with people, and they understand, Leif understands that this may not move ahead at all. So he understands that whatever he does, whatever he looks in, whatever he comes back with, may not even happen. But
I won't be here, so don't much matter.
well, my thing is that's appropriate comments, and it's up to me if I want to move ahead with something like that, then I need to be able to address all of those things. And I'm in agreement there. That does worry me too. How when you leave a primitive area out there, of how to keep it from turning into a real problem. So very well maybe, yeah. Forget it, Tom. But in the meantime,
it'll be like the sea lions. One sea lion came up the dam and found good fishing hole. It went back and told the other sea lions. Now they got so many sea lions, they don't know what to do with them.
You are correct.
The homeless will be the same way.
you're correct.
If one finds it, we'll have a whole bunch of them.
Excuse me, can I ask, where is the property?
It's 26 acres behind it's behind the way station. So at the end of that Adams Trailer Court, it's that land above it. There's an old chlorinator shed up there on where Dry Creek Road runs along parallel to the river and then turns and heads toward the power line. All that land up in there is.
We're not
is
concerned of fire danger.
Well, one of the nice things about it is right now it's a big brushy pile. It is a fire danger. So to be able to go in there and clean up some of that area, and it helps create a fire break for Cascade Lock to get some of that undergrowth out of it. And that's what, that's something the scout troop and what they would do is, what he sees it as is potential people who wants to become an Eagle Scout. He sees Eagle Scout projects. We're always looking for community things that he sees the potential there of several different Eagle Scout projects. Because an Eagle Scout project is not done by themselves. They got to come up with a plan, an idea, something that's a need, and then they put a group together and follow through on the whole thing. So right now, I'm just saying that I'm talking to somebody, but that person understands that it may not go anywhere. But we've got 26 acres that we own that's sitting out there, and it's going to be, yes, it's developable, but it's very expensive to develop that. It's in a tough area. It's hilly. It's by a creek. There's a lot of things there that make it tough to even build. Some of it's got some flats. There is that, but not all 26 acres. I don't know how many houses that this thing can actually put into it. But anyway, I appreciate the comment because all of those things you talked about, I would not move ahead with it if I didn't feel I could address those issues. And if I can't address those issues well enough, yeah, I'm not. But in the meantime, I'm just taking my time at it and work with people. But I get it, Carl.
We do have more and more homeless here this year.
I understand that. And we've got 26 acres, you're correct, that could be on our tax rolls if that land can be developed. So, yeah, Gordon's made that very clear with me. Gordon, so I've talked to Gordon about it. So he's looking from the city of that point of view, going, hey, that's all tax land, man. And we turn it to, so I get that too. So in order to do this, I have to be able to address all of those things. But again, I just had a quick conversation with him, and that was it. And other than that, I'm not using anybody. And his thing was very quick to say, hey, that land has value from houses. Right. Anyway.
Can I mention that I know that regarding the homeless, there have been some Facebook sites of neighborhood watch sites going up. So there are people watching their yards and their neighbors and stuff like that.
And that's good too. We've, I can't remember what it was, but we had a neighborhood watch where we actually had, the neighborhood watch signs that go up. Things come and they go in any community. And our community's had the neighborhood watch program here before, and it looks like with where the world's going right now, it may be appropriate to get things like that going again too. So it's good that neighbors are trying to look out for neighbors. That's a good thing. And I think we got away from that a little bit here for a while. So it's nice that we're heading back in that direction. So anyway, that's just something that I'm attempting to kick around in here too. One of the things that I wanted to mention, because I'm not as social media connected. Everybody knows I'm not social media connected, but I was informed that my name was brought up on Facebook, and in the comments, it was one of those comments again where you get a lot of bad information from social media, and I see an amount of that happening, where Facebook, which can go out to lots of people, just as your comments, on the fire end of it, we're saying there's only 23 people watching, or 23 things watching, or 20. Well, we're on Facebook, or no, we're on YouTube. YouTube goes, I guess, all over the world. So there's potentially a lot of people that saw and heard what was going on, and what they do with it, and what they take of that. So same thing, when it goes on Facebook, it goes to lots of people. And I just want to make sure that going out here on YouTube, so you get some that my wife and I were not paid, or that no money from Cascade Locks, and since Cascade Locks was put towards us going to Cooper Spur, there was never a plan for us going. There was never an ask for us going. And I don't know.
I went.
You went? Well, that's.
I took my 2 grandsons,
But that's part of the poor.
but we paid for them.
All right. And that's where you're at. So if somebody does go somewhere,
So,
they pay them. But it gave the impression that all these people were going and all being paid by the citizens.
yeah,
And I think it brought up Gordon and his wife too. So, and I know that the port didn't ask, I don't think the port, I know they didn't ask us to be there.
he asked me.
So there was a lot of, but in asking you, you had to pay your own way. It gave the impression that everybody was footing the bill for you.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of bad potential information out there. My wife was not asked to be up there, and was not said, hey, we're going to pay your way to do this thing. So it's one of those things where, yeah, we're in a world where when something bumps up, and if you find out about it, I don't look for it. Somebody said it, so then I got to find somebody. Well, so then they show it to you. Here it is. Okay, and so I'm just making my comment tonight that Cooper Spur was a Port of Cascade Locks thing. Cooper Spur is in the Port of Cascade Locks Port District. In fact, Mount Hood Meadows is in the Port of Cascade Locks Port District, and that's just somewhere they went to be part of something within their district. So anyway, let's see, what else did I apologize. Oh, I would say also one thing, because of the comment on the fire group, that we made the commitment to, and we put money to it. We're paying. There wasn't long ago we weren't paying anybody. Then we paid one, and now we're paying 3. And yes, Carl Zerfing right here gave us 30 years free, 24/7. So there's things I may not always agree with you on it, but I do appreciate all that you gave this community. 30 years of service, and continue. I mean, that was then, and you're doing this too. This is free to do what you've done here for us. So, but an example, when the fire chief is, and I don't know of any rules that we have when you're on your own time. When you're on your own time and want to go do something else, as far as I know, you're allowed to go do whatever you want. So if they've got a job somewhere else beyond their 40 hours here, as long as they're putting the 40 hour in here with us, I'm good with that. Now, what I look at, because you brought up that they came, was paid over there, and being paid there during that time came over here for an event. I appreciate that, because whether they're being paid or not, that side of the river is coming over here and helping us with something, and whether it's her or somebody else doesn't make any difference to me. The fact that they are paying her and had somebody on there where they could come over and help us out, I appreciate that. The other thing that I like about that, and I think obviously a person needs to be careful, but she needs to be able to sit down and, make her own call on, how much that stresses her out, tires her out, and doing extra work. But the connection, by being over there and being employed there too, I don't know how much is employed there. And you say she is. In this day and age, I don't know anymore whether she is or not, whether the chief is or not. But if so, it gives a great relationship between us and them, because Cascade Locks has, and you helped create that too. So again, Carl Zerfing, 30 years here. Carl Zerfing was the first paramedic in Hood River County. So you got a huge city up there, and when people started volunteering and he paid his own way through it, put his own time in it, did all the hours, all the everything it takes to be a full-blown paramedic. He was the first one in, not just in Cascade Locks, but in Hood River County. Hood River did not have. So, again, thank you for all of that. But yes, but as well you know, we've got difficulties here, and we need to continue to work on. I know you obviously, just from listening to you, you're frustrated that you didn't gain as much as you hoped you would gain, but I would just say we need to commit to that though too ourselves. You're right. We need to commit to it and make our department a successful department. Another thing that I noted about emergency services, I've got a fellow from North Bonneville that works at the port with us, and he's on the fire department there. During the fire event here, when you have big events, that's when you draw people out, you assume. They gained like 20 people. And the fire wasn't even in there. They had to go down to deal with Archer Mountain, but it wasn't in their town on a big scale. But their town certainly saw across the river they had a great view of what happened here. They gained 20 volunteers. I don't think we gained any, yeah. So if you can't get at an event if you can't pull in the people from an event like that, where you get to actually experience what can happen to you if you aren't prepared to be part of the whole thing, yeah, I don't. But that still doesn't give us an excuse not to give up on it and keep trying to work towards that. So I'll just say to you that this council, whether we get somewhere or not, it is part of where we want to do and where we want to head. Anyway, okay, I'm done. It's not midnight, so we did good. So other matters?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I would like to it's more of an inquiry, but where are we at on the generator that we were going to?
When the water project is all done, then we'll move the one that was up there.
What's the timeline for that, sir?
We're still working for the finals for the water tank. We've done the substantial completion for the pipeline. We now have to do the well construction. And we're waiting USDA approval before we can start that bid process, engineering process for the implementation of the well. And that's going to be an add-on to that well project to see what's going to cost to move that generator up on Moody Street down here.
Yeah. Okay, I was just hoping that there was a way to expedite it, but it sounds like not. It would be nice to have the generator here, though.
It would.
Thank you, sir.
Any other matters? I think along an emergency service direction too, because we saw on the news that apparently we're sitting on a major north-south fault line here off of Mount Hood, and we're sitting on a huge landslide. So the Bonneville land, we're part of the Bonneville landslide. So most all of your land in here. There's at least one, the fellow that chipped the rock out of Tooth Rock up here and built his house on solid rock. I'm assuming he's good, but the rest of town, even though there are areas in our town that we have said could have issues, I'm assuming now the geologists are going to say after finding this that our downtown potentially is open for what, liquefaction is out there?
Liquefaction.
Yeah. Liquid what?
Liquefaction.
Liquefaction.
Yeah, I'm glad I live out there in the point because I've got further to go to get.
So it appears that we're in one of those things. So those are something we're going to be needing to take a look at, and whether there's anything you can do about it or not, we need to at least inform ourselves what that's all going to mean to us. Because frankly, you're talking about the generator, but you could bring that down here. But this building here, I'm sure, in that type of an event, isn't going to do well. Like lots of other buildings here, I would imagine though too. Anyway,
We don't want to shut down our airport though.
we're not, I would say the airport is not, from all the comments we got at the end of the study and all that, it was, I think it sounds like what came out of that is, yeah, not shut it down, but the state has responsibility there to maintain and take care of an airport. And what came out of it is it wasn't being, or it's not being maintained and taken care of as well as it should be. So hopefully we can at least get that out. Or actually we did get that out, but whether people act on it or not, who knows, but we did get that out of it. Okay, executive session, nothing? All right, I'm looking for adjournment for,
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
been moved to second to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
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 Alright.
Opposed? All right. See you in a couple of weeks.